welcome to another episode of the Billy Ho Show. Now, before we get started, when I was a boy, we used to toast our toast with an old toaster. It was a thing with two flaps on each side, and one went down, you put a piece of bread in and put it back up again, then did the same on the other side, put the bread in, put it back up again, then wait 2 or 3 minutes, and when you thought it was sort of toasted, you put it down, and if it was toasted, you turned it over, shut it back up again, same with the other side, shut it back up again, and wait for a while, and then you took your toast out. But you get burnt quite a lot. You're sort of so near the flame and touch anything, you burnt yourself. So it was just one of those things to watch out for. And also, back in that day, Mum had just a pot. We never had a jug, and what she had was this little handle thing with 2 round bars that come out, twirled at the end and went back again, and you just stuck that in the pot and that boiled the water, and it boiled all sorts of things. So that was the way we boiled our jug. And so I just remember that from the old days, the jug boiler and the old watch yourself toaster. Anyway, before we start, because it's COVID, we can't get out, so we're going to show you a few of our historical episodes from about 2011, 2012, and the technology is improving as we go along. But at that time I had a shooter mic, which is a long microphone, just sort of pointed to whoever's talking. Doesn't really matter how far away they are, and you pick them up, and also had this black fluffy thing which meant it stopped the wind. So in case you're wondering what it is throughout this next show, that's what it is, it's the microphone. So what we're going to do now is go to Kamo and talk to a man called John Strong, who's got an amazing truck called a Tatra.
This is John Strong, and what he's got is a Tatra?
Tatra.
Tatra, T-A-T-R-A.
That's right. Yeah.
Where does that hail from?
Czechoslovakia.
They used to make things like NZs. You remember the NZ motor scooter and Skoda? Did that come from there?
This is made in the same factory as the Skoda and the Zetor tractors, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But 6x6, and what year is this? I mean, I would have thought of put it in
1982.
But I would have, sort of looking at it, I would have put it in 1960 something.
No, it's 1982.
Is that the sort of European technology, the shapes of things, that nothing much changed? It probably looks the same as the 70s, does it?
They made them from the early 70s to 82, 83, and they never physically changed the shape. They're still the same looking thing, except there's a few minor differences underneath.
Oh, okay. And so what did it come here for?
It arrived in the country as a cab and chassis. It was sold by Ellison Trading in Hamilton, and it went to the Hastings Power Board, and it got converted to right-hand drive, which I believe it was one of the few, very, very few ones that they converted to right-hand drive, and they fitted a crane to it, which had a boring rig, and they could go up into their power wires, and they used it up in the back blocks in the country around Napier and Hastings.
So it's a go-anywhere sort of a truck. It's six-wheel drive.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everywhere, not anywhere.
Oh, okay, everywhere. Well, that's a difference. There's a difference between anywhere and everywhere.
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
So this climbs hills and does the mud thing?
Yeah, it's 6-wheel drive, all-terrain. It's got a 6-wheel diff lock.
Hell, is it?
It's got 6-wheel independent suspension. It's got something like 30 inches of travel per wheel.
Hell.
And there's...
So it makes
we've been known to tow bulldozers onto site. It's quite a good tool off-road, yeah.
So it's a unique thing.
Very much so, yeah.
I know I haven't seen one like it before in our travels, and we've travelled, extensively through the country looking at trucks. So how many were these would have come in at the time?
There was originally an agent in the South Island, and I don't know how many trucks they bought in. They bought in an earlier series, which was a 138. This is a 148. But this is a later 148, which is a T2.
Oh, okay.
There was a 148 and there was a 148 T2, which is this vehicle here. And there was about 30 odd, I believe, that Ellison Trading brought in from the early 70s to the mid 80s.
Well, that's quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, most of them were all used off-road. So they haven't survived, they've been hammered to death. People like Mills Construction used them on the Ruapehu project. There was a chap in the Waihi gold mine that had 4 or 5 of them he used in the Waihi gold mine. There was Burroughs Quarry
Oh, okay.
in Taupo, they had 3 or 4 of them.
And they use them as dump trucks or something?
Yeah, they used them as dump trucks, yeah. Yeah, they were
So-
used as dump trucks.
So that 6-wheel drive, it gives it a special purpose of just getting to those, like the power board you were saying, sort of climbing up to the...
Well, the all-terrain suspension is what really does it.
Oh, okay, yes. So
Because you can be cruising down a quarry road at 60 or 70 k's an hour, and it just, you know, it's like driving a flash truck down the highway. You know, it just works so well across country.
But when you look at this thing, folks, it doesn't look like anything special.
No, it doesn't. I've got a friend of mine who has military vehicles, and he wanted me to do a job one day, and he vowed and declared I'd bought the wrong truck because that one just like an ordinary truck. And it wasn't until we got into the job, and he shrugged his shoulders and he said, "Well, no, we know you bought the right truck now because nobody else is here." So, yeah.
So how long have you had it, John?
I bought it in 1993.
And have you done much with it, work-wise?
We don't do a lot of work, but it's been in work most of that time. We had a time when when we repowered it, that it never got used for a year or so. But other than that, we just do general farmers' work and contracting work around the place with it.
Sure. Underneath this thing, it must be absolutely bulletproof with all the strengths and independent this and the diffs, just the diffs in themselves. So, 3 diffs in a line.
Well, it's actually got 4 diffs.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well, I
yeah.
learn a new thing every day.
Yeah, yeah. And it's got 6 crown wheels and 6 pinions.
Good God.
Each axle has its own crown wheel and its own pinion. And they oscillate like a V-dub. That's how come they get so much, they do this. And they oscillate. I actually got stopped by a traffic cop on the road one day, and he waved me down, and he hopped out of his car in a big panic, and he was waving his hands and spitting and carrying on. And he said, your wheels are going to fall off shortly. And I got out and looked, and I said, I can't see anything wrong. And when I pointed to the back of his Falcon, it had a load in the back, the wheels were on an angle like this, and I said, well, yours look a bit the same. And he'd never come across an independent suspension truck, so yeah. But the wheels actually oscillate around quite a lot.
So was this thought up by the Czechoslovakians? Or are they taking that technology from the Russians or Poms? Or...
No, it's the other way around. The Czechoslovakians thought it up and everybody else has taken it.
Is that right?
These are now Tatra Terex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they are. The company was taken over by Terex, and they largely make military vehicles.
Oh, okay.
Now you can buy a brand new one as a military vehicle now. Yeah, or you can buy them out of Australia. They have brand new ones in Australia, as much the same as this vehicle. And to look at it, it looks very similar.
Right.
It's such a basic, simple truck. To overhaul the suspension, you remove. On each wheel you remove 1 bolt, and you take a little piece of steel out and you put a couple of runs of weld on it, and you put it back in, and that takes all the wear out of the suspension. And it's and all the moving parts of suspension run in oil. They're all oil immersed. They run in diff oil. And when you actually look at it, it's a very, very simple design. And it's very effective. All you've got to do is you've got to keep the rubber boots in good order so the mud doesn't get in.
What sort of is the biggest angle do you think you've had this on? Sort of.
We've had the metal running off here and hitting the mirrors, coming down a hill.
Is that right?
Yeah.
On our 4-wheel drive tricks, folks, we had an Englishman who'd never done 4-wheel driving before, and after the end he said, well, it's steep when your face is squashed up against the windscreen.
He hadn't got his seatbelt on. This is the Cummins 6CT 8.3,
yep.
which came out about the 90s. and we've transplanted it in there. It wasn't just an easy job to do. It was, we've put the dry sump gear on down here, which is the original Tatra.
That's the pan you're talking about.
One of the interesting things is to check the oil, you can actually undo this, and you can look in and see it there.
Yeah.
But you've also got a dipstick inside here. But you know, there's not many vehicles. You just sort of look in the hole and say, "Oh, there's enough oil in there, is there?"
So what does the radiator do? Oh, is this for the new motor?
Oh, this is for this. This is a water-cooled engine. This one, yeah. But we had quite a lot of humbug putting it in because the actual engine mounts are the mount for the steering box and the mount for the cab and the mount for the shock absorber and everything else that goes on it. So we couldn't change any of that. We had to actually modify the engine to fit it in amongst the mounts, which entailed building a complete new clutch and flywheel housing and everything else. That was quite a job to do that. And then of course, because it doesn't have a gearbox straight on the back of the engine, the gearbox lives way down in the middle. We had to build ourselves a clutch system to drive the power from the engine back to the gearbox.
So this is really unique, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
So the gearbox has got to drive all those diffs, I suppose. I guess that's why it's in the
That's
middle.
all integral. When we get back there, you'll see that. Yeah. That's all one part. Yeah. The engine just sits there and drives the drive shaft, which everything goes round and round at the back. Yeah. And there's nothing exposed back there. The only exposed drivetrain is the drive shaft from the engine to the gearbox. And the only other part you'll ever see turning around is the universal crosses down under there. Otherwise, there's nothing that goes round and round to wind up long grass or wire or anything like that.
So they've really thought about the six-wheel drive, you know, the all-terrain aspect of what this is supposed to do.
Well, it does exactly what they say it does. You know, it works in the extreme conditions.
Oh well, we'll waiting to blot it down and we'll have a look at some of that.
Milburn Lime, every time. Milburn Lime, available all over the Southland district and beyond. Top grade lime that's been available year after year. Call them on 03 417 8228. The next time you need lime, think Milburn Lime, every time. On Saturday, November the 6th, we leave for another Hohepa Old Truck Tour of New Zealand. We leave from Auckland and make our way to Wellington, cross over on the ferry to the South Island and continue down all the way to Richardson's Museum in Invercargill. Then we travel up the coast all the way to Wakefield and on to Rockville. All this and looking at old trucks as we go, as well as seeing a fair bit of New Zealand. We have 12 places available and people will travel by minibus. So if you have an ex-truck driving dad or granddad or somebody you know, maybe this special trucking holiday treat will be just the ticket. Maybe a Father's Day surprise. If you'd like to find out more, just go to my Facebook page, Bill Hohepa's 2021 Old Truck Tour, and all the details are there. Or just email me at billhohepa@extra.co.nz.
Starting from here, John, just work your way back.
That's the actual gearbox. It's a 10-speed gearbox. It's a 5-speed with a splitter in it. Over there, we have a hydraulic pump, which is aftermarket. I've fitted that on myself. And we come back down to this section here, which is actually your drop sack, which as you would be as in a four-wheel drive, a transfer case. This here is a handbrake. And originally the truck had a large hydraulic pump mounted over here, which was operated off the PTO here. This PTO here, you can take full engine horsepower out of it.
Good God.
So in the factory option is they have a winch that's fitted in here, or winding device as they call it. Yeah. And this central tube here goes right to the front of the truck. This piece here is only a subframe. It stops at the back of the cab.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And this central tube is made up, it's bolted together like a Fergie tractor. And in here you've got your crown wheel there, these big rubber boots, they're quite big, heavy rubber boots on each axle to allow them to oscillate. And you've got to make sure they're kept in quite good order, otherwise they fill up with mud inside, which doesn't do things a lot of good. And your differential is in here, and another one in here. That little air pot thing,
Yep.
those little air pot things, are the diff lock actuators. And the differential is actually a sun gear. It's two sun gears that are put side by side, and to actually engage the diff lock, it moves the sun gear along, which, if you can imagine, there's a gear beside each other with two lots of sun gears working on top of them. When you slide them along, they all lock up because they just get confused and the whole lot has to drive. So when you actually press the diff locks, it's all air operated. You can actually press a button in the cab and the whole lot of the wheels lock up, providing you're in six-wheel drive. If you're not in six-wheel drive, only the rear four lock up.
Okay, so you could choose how many wheels drive, or just the four?
Yes.
Good call.
Yes. Normally, as it sits now, not in six-wheel drive, it's just like an ordinary six-wheeler truck. If you put it into six-wheel drive, that's equivalent of putting a power divider in an ordinary six-wheeler, like a Rockwell back end or something, putting your power divider in. The power divider is actually in the drop sack. And then after that, you have your diff locks, which act all at once. You can't sort of just put the front ones or the rear ones. So that you press the button and the whole lot go.
And a crawler gear, so how slow does it?
No, it doesn't have a particularly good low gear, unfortunately. It really could do with a good crawler gear, yeah.
Then it'd be really bulletproof.
I think you'd end up breaking something. Yeah.
Fair enough. Wow.
And these G-cramp looking things here, and at the bottom of it, just down under here somewhere, there's a little piece of steel. That's the piece of steel I told you that you take out and you build them up with a bit of weld to take the play out of them. And yeah, because the actual spring in there, it just sits there. You undo this bolt here and the bolt on the other side and those two G-cramps, and it literally falls out the bottom. It's such a simple thing to work on, yeah.
What John's going to do is put that little forklift into the back of the truck. So it's as simple as that, John.
Yes, we have to put the pins in here yet. Put a pin in here.
Yep.
Then we let the weight down on it so the weight doesn't carry on the mast. And it's as simple as that, yeah. Takes about a minute or so.
It just must look really, really odd to people seeing it go down the road.
The odd people tell me that I've backed over a forklift and stuck. So, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Oh, well,
Then to take it off, we just
well done. So you were saying before, John, that that's all-wheel drive.
Yes, that's right. It's hydraulic drive.
Oh, okay.
It's has 3 hydraulic motors on it.
Just like the truck.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So everything around here is for. I see you even drive a Nissan Safari as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
What else is there? Anyway, we're going to have a look at the cab.
Okay.
So there it is, the cab. Jump in, John. Now when they right-hand drive or swap the steering over, because everything's on that side, does that mean the gear sticks further away?
Yes, and the pattern's back to front.
Oh, as well?
Yes. Yes, entirely, yeah. Originally there was a battery box underneath the seat here, and the driver's seat was over there, and they've just literally shifted the dash from over there to here, and spliced the pedals and what have you in, and they built a new engine mount and cab mount and shock absorber mount to mount the steering box in.
Right.
And then they've done a lot of widgetry with arms and levers and all sorts of things underneath the floor. So when you turn the steering wheel the right way, it turns the right way.
Fair enough. That's important, isn't it?
That is important, isn't it? Yeah.
On the dashboard, it looks very, very Mercedes-Benz-ish.
There you are, the Mercedes-Benz key.
There you go. So
The old key. Eh?
even this, you know, the speedo and that looks like
This is a tachograph speedo. It has the bits of paper in the back
right.
for the
tell you where you've been and how long it took to get there.
yeah, and how many times you stopped along the way.
Exactly. That's all pretty flash now. All that GPS stuff. They know how fast you're around corners and all sorts of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is quite a big steering wheel. I mean, you're sort of as far back as you can go.
Yep.
And then you've got about what? That much between your guts and
Between the
steering wheel.
tummy and the yeah,
So how?
yeah.
What's the further stretch that gets? When say you're putting it on top?
When you're in 4th gear, which is over here.
Oh wow! Well, that's about 18 inches from that side to this side to go to. Wow! Look at that.
Yeah. But reverse and second are very close together.
Okay.
You've got to be very careful at the traffic lights because you can easily take off in reverse.
So what's the little button on the side? I was going to say heat and diff, but obviously it's not.
No, that's a 2-speed. It's
2-speed what?
Tatra actually call it a land gear and a highway gear. One's L and one's H. We would call it low and high. But of course, being Kiwis, we use it like the same as you would do a Road Ranger and Eaton 2-speed diff.
Yeah.
We halve all the gears, which, according to what they say, you're not supposed to. But
Yeah. What do they know? Yeah. So the other levers.
well, here we've got the switch where we turn the dry sump equipment on,
Yep.
which
Yep.
hear it rumbling away there. Here we've got 6-wheel drive.
Just that little button.
That's it. That's 6-wheel drive. That's in. That's out.
Good God.
Diff locks. So, and the horn, the windscreen, the indicators. This is a PTO, which puts the PTO into gear, which is wired up for when the power board had it, that when you pull that on, all the brakes lock on. Which is very good in slippery condition because it just puts all of the brakes on. And when the card and shaft brake, one wheel goes forwards and one wheel goes backwards and you slide down the hill, you just pull that up and it fills all the air pots with air and that's it. Other than that, you've got a standard steering wheel and yeah, nothing.
Full width cab, this isn't it? So it must
Yes.
sort of feel wider than it actually is.
It is quite wide. We've got our hoist controls down here, and a conventional type handbrake that you'd expect in a 1930s truck. So, and a control here for the air seat.
Oh, so the seats are nice and yeah, it's got a little hydraulic on the side.
Air assisted seat, yeah. Yeah. The air's gone out of it actually. There's not much in it at the moment. Yeah.
Well, everything that a good decent truck should have, it's here.
Yeah.
The pedals, they're nice and sort of
Yeah,
look
they're
just-
paddles. Yeah,
Yeah,
not-
paddles rather than
paddles,
pedals.
not pedals. Yeah. You sort of can't miss them. They're quite big.
So when you've got your foot on the accelerator, which actually looks quite high, is that sort of...
Yeah, well, it doesn't do anything until it gets halfway down. So
Oh,
it's,
okay.
yeah, it is a bit high. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but that's the way it is, I suppose.
Yeah, and you get used to things, don't you?
You seem to, yeah. Yeah,
There's nothing you can do about it, so get used to it.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Oh, well, I think we should see how it performs in a bit of difficult terrain.
Oh, okay. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We've just been raining a lot last night, so we don't know how much the mud will be deep.
Excellent news. Oh, well, folks, after the break, we're going to take the Tatra. Is that right? Tatra?
Yep. Tatra, yeah.
Tatra. They wrote a song about this. Anyway, we'll see how good it is in the mud.
What I've got here is a copy of Talking Trucks. This is a book I wrote a couple of years ago, and it's the history of New Zealand trucking. And it's all from the programs that I did between 2013 and 2016. I'm going to let this go for $25. So it's a special. Christmas is coming up. So if you'd like your copy, there's my phone number, 027 277 0717. Just send me a text. Or email me, billhohepa@extra.co.nz to get your copy. $25 and the history of New Zealand trucks. We're going to have a go around these paddocks, and I've sort of been in four-wheel drives doing what we're about to do. It'll be interesting to see if this truck can actually do, so we're going to go get the muck. Watch this.
What about this big pile of dirt coming up? You're not going to drive over that, are you?
Oh, we'll just drive over top of it. It won't be a problem.
Really?
Yeah, no. We commonly dump metal and just back over top of the load to get ourselves out. It's quite good like that.
What about this clay coming up?
No, we'll drive over that too. It might be a bit soft in there. It might be a foot or two deep, but we'll just drive through it.
You think you're going to get back up this little grassy knob hill here?
Probably not.
We'll just keep it going, keep
Yeah,
it going,
we'll
keep
keep
it
it
going,
going,
you
yeah.
gotta do it, yes!
Yeah.
He's done it! Woohoo!
Yeah, we've got to have the defloxin though. We have the defloxin.
You wouldn't get up there without the flocks?
No, not a way.
Really? So no other vehicle probably get up there either of bigger than the four-wheel drive.
My safari, you'd have fun up there. It's probably this ground is very, very deceivingly slippery.
Yeah. So the independent suspension, you've got the wheels sort of poking every different way, every which way, every diff way, every which way.
Yep. They follow the ground quite nicely actually. Even going over those mounds, we'd be lucky to lift the wheel off the ground.
Is that right? Oh well, we're just about at the top. We'll be able to get out and have a bit of a chat about this thing.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, John, that was an absolute experience. Now, I didn't think this truck was going to do all that, get around that course. I had, and particularly climbing over the dirt, and then into the mud and up the wet slope. I didn't think it was going to do it. I mean, I would have been struggling with the four-wheel drive to do that. But
It is the middle of winter though, Bill.
yeah, but for an ordinary-looking truck that you wouldn't think that would sort of look boo at, it's just performed unbelievably well. And that Czechoslovakian technology, you've got to take your hats off to those guys to put all that together to make this truck do what it does. Unbelievable. So thanks very much, and
Been a pleasure.
absolute delight.